Good morning, and welcome to the City of Lamar City Council Special Amended Agenda of August 19th, 2026. We are still here at 1109 B Bayou Road. We are in the community room directly adjacent to the council chambers. And there is court being conducted in council chambers. And so we are still within the same facility, same address, same building. And so we proceed with the community room. Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Lamar, Texas will conduct a special meeting on August 19th, 2026, beginning at 10 a.m. in council chambers at 1109 B Bayou Road, Lamar, Texas, as well as via video conference hosted through Zoom. The Zoom meeting ID will be 161-728-0595. The passcode will be 163641. In accordance with section 551.127B of the Texas Government Code, the presiding officer and the quorum of the Lamar City Council intend to be and will physically be present at 1109 B Bayou Road, Lamar, Texas. This location will be open to the public. Council will meet for the purpose of considering the following agenda. The meeting has been called to order. Ms. Willman, our new interim city clerk, would you give us a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Mayor,
Present.
Councilmember Williams,
Present.
Councilmember
Griffin.
Griffin,
Mayor Pro Tem Griffin.
and Councilmember
Yancey.
Present.
Councilman Lowry is absent.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Ms. Willman.
Thank you.
Let's stand for our invocation and our pledge of allegiance. As always, we invite you to celebrate the Lord's Prayer with us for our wonderful, wonderful city. Let's pray. Our Father, Lord in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. And as kingdom, power, and glory forever. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As always, we thank you for praying with us for our great city. Certainly, we are honored that we celebrated the Pledge of Allegiance with you as well. Item 4, citizens' participation, limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments from the public will be heard at this time. Any person with city-related business who has signed up may speak to council. It will be limited to 3 minutes. In a moment, I'm going to ask how we will keep time. If you're wishing to speak, give the mayor, the presiding officer, your full legal name and the item you wish to speak about, as well as your address. Compliance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, the city may not deliberate on comments. If you're visiting with us via phone, you may press *6 to mute or unmute yourself. If you're visiting with us via the Zoom, through a smartphone, tablet, or a computer, there should be a microphone icon in the lower portion of your screen. If you are visiting with us in person, there is a seat next to the city manager that you might be able to address council directly. And there will be a 3-minute time put on your presentation. Looks like Ms. Willman is going to be our official timekeeper at 30 seconds. She will just simply raise her hand to alert all of us that your comment period will be coming to a close. Thank you for your consideration. Again, this is America, and we honor and we comply with the First Amendment right of freedom of expression. And certainly we honor that. We facilitate that, but we are asking as a community that we respect one another and that we attempt, if at all possible, to be kind toward one another. Thank you for that contemplation and that consideration. Are there any persons online wishing to speak?
No, sir, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Are there any persons here before us wishing to speak? Mr.
Mayor,
Pennington, may approach. Welcome.
This is more of a point of order.
Yes.
Just to speak. Those 2 doors are locked. Since it's a public meeting, we're praying one of those to be open. One door.
We will definitely check that right now, immediately. Thank you.
What is the breath? in one of that,
Yeah, very good. Thank you for that, Mr. Pennington. We're checking that right now. Very good. Are we good? You good? Thank you for that. Any other persons, present with us here wishing to speak? Hearing none, thank you again for, the opportunity. Let's move to item 5, new business. Items presented to council for discussion and possible action. 5.1, budget considerations, considering council intentions for the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget. Considering council intentions for the fiscal year 2026-2027 budget. Taxpayer impact statement required by House Bill 1522, effective September 1st, 2025. While this statement is required under the new legislation, it is too early in the process to include any figures. The city provides the following information in compliance with Texas Government Code 551.043C. Number 1, copy of the city's proposed budget may be located on the city's homepage of its website. And 2, taxpayer impact statement. 2025 adopted tax rate of 0.418501 with an average homestead taxable value of $250,569 equals a tax of $902.16. The 2026 no new revenue rate, tax rate is 0.398957. The 2026 proposed tax rate of 0.398957 with an average homestead taxable value of $229,515 equals a tax of $915.67. The change in total tax rate is a negative 0.019544 per 100,000, per 100, or a negative 4.6%. The change in average homestead taxable value is an increase of 6.5%. The change in tax on average homestead is an increase of $13.51 or 1.5%. That is the statement in compliance with House Bill 1522. We moved from that statement back into our workshop. Yesterday, we went through line item presentation with fire and police. Council gave very distinct directions on developing a plan to save the 9 proposed active fire officers that were proposed to be eliminated under certain budget scenarios. The council has also directed the manager through comments to continue to work toward a 45 to 47 member police force as far as the patrol division, the sworn, that's the word I'm looking for, sworn division based on the grant constraints, the COP grants, legal constraints. And so we also talked a little bit about trying to inform, educate our community on what it means to have a fully paid fire department. And how that is a large department in our budget, and how that makes any comparison of tax rates with our neighboring cities an unfair comparison, unless it is compared to the other 2 cities, Texas City and Galveston, that have full time, fully paid fire services. So those were the directives that were given through comments toward the manager. Today, I believe there perhaps might be a response to that, as well as we will be moving through Public Works this morning through their line item. So from that, we will move to yield the floor to the acting city manager.
Thank you, Mayor. As we start every budget meeting, the first 2 line items we fund as part of this budget are a reserve fund and an emergency fund. This allows the city to rebuild its foundation and be able to handle the unknowns that come up all the time in the world. Very important thing, also required by our charter. So, before we dive into public works, I do want to give a quick, update, on what was accomplished last night after, the budget meeting to, account for, the changes Mayor discussed. So, in front of you, you have a new, proposed budget. This is at the 39-cent no new revenue rate. It breaks out the fire department into its own category and different funding options for that, but we'll talk about that in a minute. So this does, again, use the no new revenue rate to accomplish everything in the general fund except our fire EMS service. It does contain emergency management and all other general fund items.
Is that why this is separate?
That, yes.
Okay.
So you have, all of those items, they have been from the departments we've talked about already, the adjustments that have been, discussed and, requests that have been made in those departments. PD's been updated to 47, which allows it to maintain grant compliance with our sworn officers. We've also included, their updated, non-personnel numbers from the sheet they provided, with only two changes. One is a slight reduction in fuel, from 250,000 to 175,000. They are not anywhere close to, even 175,000 right now, so that a jump of that size is bigger than it needs to be. So we reduced that, and then we did add one item that they did not, include in their list, which is required additional insurance for, the PD department itself.
Was that an increase?
It's 6 cents. The insurance for them, just to function the extra insurance.
I mean, was that an increase to the budget, to the expenditure, and was that an increase to the expenditure line?
Yes, but it's the same, so, sorry. We added in all the items that, PD had done, right, that increased. We talked about yesterday from the old loaded revenue by 620,000, or the, maintained service level by 271,000. It included fuel that we have since reduced to be a more, reasonable number. And then added in one item that they did not include in their own list, which was the insurance requirement.
Right, so I'm saying, so that is a new expenditure?
Yes,
How much was that?
60,000.
And
There,
whose budget was this for PD?
PD.
Okay.
So, in terms of where they are coming in right now, their new budget, is 7.4 million. Roughly, which is, less than last year's budget, but it's gonna be, a little above where they actually come in expenditures this year.
So that's fine. I mean, that's police.
That's place, yeah.
So they were budgeted last year higher,
Their budget 7.9 last year.
now they've cut it $500,000.
Yeah, so they reduced that $500,000. It's gonna be over what they actually come in at this year because they're running with fewer than 47.
So let me get this straight. 7.4 million for fire, for police.
Yes, ma'am. A hair over that. Yes,
And last year was 7.9.
last year was budgeted 7.9.
Okay.
They're gonna come in at around, probably right around 7,
Okay.
maybe a hair under. The end of this year. And the only other notable, one is code. Code is funded at, 4 personnel as discussed. 1 supervisor, 3 regular code, We also did include the 85 in the demolition budget to cover 60 for the apartment and 2 demolitions, and we do have 100,000 in the weed control and mowing budget as discussed. So those are in there. That did raise code budget from where it used to be, but code was budgeted a lot more last year. So this is still a reduction from last year's budget.
Can I ask a question?
Here's one.
This is the weed budget for code. Does other departments have mowing budget?
Yes, Public Works.
Okay, that's the
And-
only other,
and these-
in EDC.
Yeah.
So these people are responsible for cutting code items.
Yeah, so this is non-city,
That's what I needed to hear.
non-city
Okay.
property
And
Yeah.
public,
How we,
that we deem need to be for the protection of the city.
okay,
The city doesn't own. Public Works mows parks, all city property,
the facilities.
right of ways, all of those things. Public Works does, I believe, on occasion, pick up a mowing of a non-city property if we can't get somebody out there to mow it, but that's not how we have it. Set up to be in a normal situation.
Okay, so Public Works has a crew that does mowing,
Yes.
right? So EDC has a contractor that does mowing?
Contracts out, they're going, explicitly for, they own a lot of vacant lots,
Right,
right?
Yeah, okay,
For
I got
future
that.
development, and so they have a contract to mow
okay,
those vacant lots.
okay, and then code is responsible for the
But-
lot that
yeah.
goes under, okay.
Yep.
I got you. Didn't know that.
So that moves us,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
This 100,000 for mowing.
Yes.
Okay. What was this number last year?
It was budgeted at 69,000 last year. For the last few years, it has spent between about 17 and 30,000.
Mm-hmm.
But we have been very passive in those actions, right? That's why some of those lots get, human height,
Okay,
right? The intent, as described by council, is to be much more, focused and determined and aggressive on keeping the city, in a clean state. And so that will mean more mowing, which means more costs.
mm-hmm. And so who's doing the cutting for code?
There's a contractor.
Okay, so they have a contractor
Yes.
that does it, okay.
It's the same contractor DDC uses.
Okay.
We have 2 separate.
Contractors.
It's the same.
same,
So it's- yes.
Okay, just on a lighter note, who does weed abate? Is that different than mowing?
In
For instance, overgrown trees?
so that I believe still falls under the same, same
The
contract.
utility people, okay,
If it's something that needs to be done directly, our public works will go out and handle it. If it's,
okay,
If it's something they can do, again, there's certain things that are beyond the machinery we have
Mhm.
to do.
It also depends on location, like if it's a part of a utility easement, like Texas to Mexico, on
Yeah.
the lines, it's their responsibility to handle it.
but if it's on the cities, whose responsibility is it?
If it's on our easement, then
Mhm.
it's our responsibility to
Okay,
clear the trees.
and so do we have a budget for that is my question?
And it's just a regular maintenance budget.
Okay, and it's not a part of code, it's on the
That's
public,
about
okay,
it.
all right, thank you.
And so I see where, this is a continuation of the conversation that Mayor Pro Tem has been having. I think what she's trying to say is, why don't we have a budget for it? So I'll just lean into that. There are persistent issues within certain areas of our community where there are easements that have been severely overgrown, right? And we all know that, we all can picture 3 or 4 of them. It's just as we have this conversation. And then we talked a little bit about, the idea that what we are doing is, we're saying, if we can get to it and we can do it, we'll do it. If it's above our pay grade, we're not doing it. And we talked about how unfair that is to the taxpayer. Either we do none of them, or we do all of them, right? So we talked a little bit about that. So the idea then is at some point, we need to go about the business of doing them. Even if we only do 4, I don't know how much it will cost. I'm not nowhere in no way, shape or form would I know. But with my layman understanding of this, let's say it will cost 2,500 per job. Even if we commit to do 4 this year, 1 per district, at least we are moving in the direction of actually addressing this, and we can take that back to the community, saying in this tight budget season, we were not able to get all of them done, but you know what, we have really actually started this program, right? Didn't cost a lot to start the program. So on behalf of Mayor Pro Tem, I think I can speak for her in this moment. That should be an adjustment to the budget, even if it's $20,000 in that program. Let's start that program. And select some places and move forward with those places. And then next year it'll get bigger, and then we'll look up 3-4 years from now, and this won't even be an issue. We will maintain all of them. Because at that point, we would have caught up on all of them. Fair enough?
I will note that, based on the, removing of fire from the funding of fire in a separate mechanism from the noted revenue plan. We did go back and consider things, kind of see where they would fit in that new world, given, council and the citizens, dire requests for better and more, streets, work. What you have in front of you is the largest public works general fund budget that has ever existed in the city. So that's where we'll start on the line item side. So this is a change from what we discussed previously when we were talking about no new residents.
Let me say this to all of us also, once you and I had a brief conversation about this yesterday. The idea of taking fire out so our people could see fire and understand this, right? And perhaps be invited to fund fire with different buckets. I think we need to be realistic in understanding that part of fire is probably gonna still end up in M&O because it's so large, right? I think we all know part of it might still end up in M&O, and then we're gonna have to add other buckets. So I think that's what you and I talked about, to be able to make it reasonable for the taxpayers. So I just want to make sure that we understand that we backed it out to make the budget look more reflective of what the people want. Now we're gonna eventually have to put portions of it back in. Go ahead.
Yes, so, the, intent of these new numbers is to kind of show what, an aggressive push to public works looks like. Whether or not that ends up where the funding ends is a different question. I mean, that's one. Someone will figure out where people are comfortable on the other side. But we want to kind of give you all what that looks like on a realistic level, right? I mean, we could obviously say we need 50 people and, $2 million of equipment. We could say, pie in the sky thing, but this is a realistic thing that allows, notable improvements to what the city will receive, for streets. It also maintains parks, at their current level of staffing. So it's starting to do quite a few things. So we just wanted to see what that looks like. And then again, we can always roll back to where we need to go back to. As we go through. And we do have some options of what, funding fire would look like. As a standalone entity as well in the packet. But we'll get to those at the end of the general fund run through, after we kind of talked through all the others and have an idea, because that could shift some of the fire funding numbers a little bit. But this time I'm gonna bring, our public works director up. Dan Brewer, and
That was the crowd chanting. You're my favorite. I know you don't believe me, but you absolutely are.
so, what I would like to do, there are 3 different, departments within the public works umbrella. There is general public works, which includes streets. There is the shop. And there is parks. What I would like to do is go through them, from smallest to largest. And so we're going to start with the shop, and what we're doing there. So the intent with shop is to move from a place where minor work is done, for like fixing vehicles, like changing a battery or that type of items. As we move further into the enterprise contract, all that maintenance is actually covered by enterprise, so the city loses money by doing that work ourselves, right? So we want to kind of move away from that role of the shop and move into a inventory control place for the shop, right? That involves taking one position, changing it from a mechanic to an inventory control specialist. And then initially it was going to convert the other position into a part-time position, which is an open position right now. Convert it to a part-time position to assist and make sure everybody's there all the time for the day.
What inventory?
So all of our like PVC pipe, valves,
Public works inventory.
public work, yes,
Hot
Including,
mix, cold mix.
yeah, all, anything we have to order, keep on
Nobody doing
stock.
that right now?
Nobody, it's just us working together. There's no, when our foremen need a part, they're going over to the shop picking it up. There's no checking in, checking out. Now going to this new open glove program, and then because we have to put that inventory in the job itself, will help with that, but there's no.
But you still get somebody to manage.
Yes, sir.
Even with the program.
Yeah.
so that's where we want to move to on that side. Right, that's building for the future, that's also putting in a big control and telling us what we actually have, allowing us to, not have days where we go in and, Jim, hey, we need a valve today, they go in, there's no valve, because the last person that took one didn't let somebody know that that was the last valve. So this allows us to maintain service at a better level, faster reaction. So that's what we're looking for in shop. The other big expense we've added to shop is specifically a repair and maintenance on the shop. For the building itself. The building itself needs a little work. In addition, as part of one of the things we have coming, when we talk about streets, there does need to be some specific electrical improvements to the shop so that it can handle all the new hot mix stuff that we have in the budget to get. We need the shop building itself needs those improvements. So there's
Electrical improvements.
yes, that's what that budget is there to ensure we can do. But similarly, we don't want to make the same mistake again of not thinking the whole process through, get the other parts of the machine and the tank and everything, and then not be able to have it because we don't have the right electrical setup. So
I don't wanna come to y'all a year later saying that our machine is not working because the power went out and everything hardened inside of it. That's something I would really hate to do. I'm sure y'all would hate to see. So,
So we're trying to think of make sure we got
Yeah.
all the items necessary to
So does the hydrant stay inside the machine?
It does. While it's in use, we have to fill it up, but if we don't use it all in one day, then we're not removing it. It has to stay hooked up.
Had to sit
Yes, sir.
and stay heated?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And if it hardens, you ruin the whole machine.
I got you.
And that's,
Yeah, no.
And planning for all of that, that's what that additional one is there for, is to make
Does
sure.
that machine, let me ask you this, and I'm just my own personal education. So, does that machine stay stationary at the shop?
it does,
And then,
it's on a trailer, so you just hook the truck.
oh,
up
okay,
to
but you
it.
take the whole machine?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, you
I
take it
was envisioning maybe it was a machine and you got the mix,
No,
took it, okay, so you take the whole
the whole
machine?
thing with you.
I got you.
Does it come with the generator in case power goes out?
It doesn't, but we do have some generators that we have moved around that we don't have to go out and buy a new generator. That's gonna be a part of this. It's just, you gotta have a hookup over there for the generator. So we are utilizing, the items we already have purchased.
So, I'd like to now open it up to any questions about shop, before we get to parks and, streets.
So right now, we have the enterprise contract and we're trying to move away from that?
No.
No,
So, part of the enterprise contract is full maintenance on all the new vehicles.
okay,
And so doing in-house maintenance, actually, we're spending money that we've already paid for.
okay, I got you.
How often, do you have to change out, often you have to change out valves and for maintenance?
I mean, that's on the utility side, and the valves itself is not often, because those are big. But when it's coming like with fitting your connections, it's just any time a lot of water line breaks or a sewer line breaks. Those you're having to go out and change out as you're doing the repairs. Or a clamp, you have to put a clamp around them.
And there's all different sizes of them, so you gotta have all of them.
No, streets and farms, I mean, not streets and what, road,
Shop.
shop.
Yeah, shop.
But, you know, they always talk about how raggedy the shop is. I'm always talking, we need to up a little bit, remember?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, so what is our long-term goal for the shop? We have one?
Eventually, it would be to turn it into a functional, public works facility where they can do more than just, house inventory. What that exactly looks like, you have to develop
Can we put
that.
that in our 20 maybe? So we can, you know, 'cause I know, they've been hollering about the shop, how safe it is.
Yeah. It's mostly that, canopy in the back that needs to be removed. So when we talked about that, it's just a matter of finding it to get removed.
How much will it cost you? No?
We do. I don't know off the top of my head, if I was gonna give a rough estimate about what we talked about, I think it was 60 or 70 grand to get it removed.
And that may be something that we can do every day in one way, right? That's a safety net for your employees.
Yeah. But we're not utilizing it, we have, don't go around their policy.
Oh, you?
Yeah, like we don't utilize that specific part because we don't want to fall on anybody. So.
The goal would be to kind of, until we figure out exactly what we want it to be, kind of slowly fix it. Really get that.
So I'm looking at the, this little chart, I don't know if it's updated or whatnot, but the shop operating budget was 26,300. I'm looking at it.
Yes.
So is that number gonna increase? You see the one I'm talking about?
Sorry.
That's okay. I didn't, it might be an old, right here.
Oh, that's the operating budget, so the combined budget with salary and operating was gonna be about 120.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah, this number right here.
Yes, so the budget is, increasing.
Okay,
So the new proposed budget is 238,000 per shop.
the operating or combined?
Combined.
To what?
238. Again, that includes that big $50,000 chunk to retrofit the electric pole, so.
Okay,
So explain to our resident what shop is.
Currently, our shop is, utilized to, do any repairs on our trucks. There are some vehicles in the city that we have, that we own. That we're doing like, tires replacements, belts, and we had the belt went out. Also minor repairs on our equipment. We can't do any major repairs because we don't have the heavy duty equipment required to your, for your, like your great alls and excavators. If anything major happens, we already have to send that out to, another shop to get it worked on. But, we're doing just minor repairs over there.
So shop is just for public works, not cars.
They work on the police vehicles as well, that they have, the ones that we had owned in the past. It's also a graveyard for old equipment that we need to get rid of. That would help out over there.
Part of the auction.
Yeah, so.
What's the underground storage tank? Under shop.
So that was, something that was, in the plan a long time ago. I know there's some budget in, last year, but I'm not 100% certain what the.
It's the removal. We have,
we have-
a few underground storage tanks in the shop that are out of compliance. And, environmentally, we're supposed to remove them. And so I think that cost is associated with the actual removal of, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, there's nothing budget but issue now, right? I don't think any budget for that.
Correct. That would be one of those future
Yeah.
fits.
Tearing that canopy down and removing those tanks are two things that have to happen before any redevelopment of that.
Yeah.
and it's underground, so it's not a visual issue.
But I do envision that, I think that part, of our facilities, I think should probably end up being the home of our heavy equipment. Heavier trucks, the heavier pieces of equipment, right? Because where you are over west, that to me feels more like an administrative building, a training facility,
Yeah,
administrative building, your smaller vehicles.
yes, sir. And I mean, yeah, we're on the same page there, because we're already utilizing the shop at right now. That's in the plan. It's because it's just, I mean, when there's work that needs to be done on them, or they can, and that's also a central location where the guys go, they actually clock in and out of there. So they go to the shop, they kind of regroup together before going out on their jobs. So that's how we're kind of operating now, but we still just do improvements there, keep that going.
Were there any opportunities for grant funding as it relates to, maybe not, removing that canopy, but maybe removing those tanks? Are there possibly some environmental grants?
It's certainly possible that there are, again, having not looked, directly for those.
Should we look perhaps
Well,
through
we
the
absolutely-
cycle? Just,
Yeah, we could definitely.
we can't make it a part of our plan, but just
Yeah.
so we would know what to fund and what not to fund.
We definitely did.
Anything else on this section, guys?
It's-
On shops? Okay, all right. And you said streets and general public works?
Yes, sir. I actually want to do parks next.
Okay, whatever, yeah, no, we just go to next.
Trying to kind of think of it like complicated.
That works.
Easiest to, most complicated, so.
I hear ya.
Just trying to get everybody to know.
I got it.
So,
Be good.
for parks, what we, are proposing is, and, I know you have your chart in front of you. We are proposing maintaining, the full four-person parks crew, foreman and all three, workers. Part of how we are doing this is, I have talked to our legal, and they, as long as the funding meets, the tasks meet very specific requirements, we can pull funding from the parks fund, the $2 fee fund. For items, it can't be for everything, but there are, things that it can be for mowing is one type of thing, so the people that actually do the mowing, the salaries for those is included in that. And the equipment for those types of things. They maintaining a structure, that doesn't include like replacing toilet paper or something, but like actually physically maintaining a structure is allowable, way it's currently written. So what we have done is we have we reviewed kind of where that fund currently sits and have come up with a 4-year plan for these covered 4 years, and then it'll transition after that into something similar but not exactly the same, which is that fund, the $2 brings in about $165,000 a year. That fund currently has a fund balance in it that has not been spent. So what we are proposing of somewhere between $350,000 and $500,000 we're still working to reconcile to get that exact current number. So what we are proposing is to take the 165 that will come in this year and pull 85,000 from that fund balance, therefore funding $250,000 from that fund to cover about 2/3 of the cost of running the parks department.
Okay, let's stop there. And let's remember, those numbers are great, right? I want to make sure we're all on the same page. Those numbers are great. Let's remember those numbers. Let's remember that commitment. Let's also remember at some point, we're circling back to the fire department. And we're looking at these unique ways that we're gonna be able to fund. If part of that looks like a fire service fee, the people will not tolerate a parks fee and a fire service. That's gonna be way too much. So what we're gonna have to do is, we're gonna have to have some sort of an ordinance change and change that parks fee into a fire service fee, right? Now, knowing that that might be the part of the mechanism to help fund, keep all of that plan and those numbers, because if that's true, then that parks plan can then be reabsorbed by the M&O.
Yeah.
Make sense? Did everybody understand what I just said?
I do, I got it all.
You don't understand what I said? Okay, so he is creating this,
Not, the only part I don't understand is how that, no. I know.
no, okay, so right now, he's saying in the way that they're proposing this part of the budget, we're going to use parks user fees, the $2 mandatory, to cover part of his plan, which is what should happen. That's what should happen.
You have a parks
Right.
department.
Yeah, that's exactly what should happen. However, because we backed the fire department out, so that people could see exactly how much it costs to have a paid fire department. And we're looking at maybe helping fund the fire department with a fire department fee, or whatever that's gonna look like. If the people are asked to consider that, they're not gonna consider both. So that means that plan just has to go right back into M&O. If that makes sense, right back into the maintenance and operation, because if we go with the fire plan, we're gonna have to change the ordinance, and the parks fee is gonna have to turn into fire fee. And so all the park stuff has to be reabsorbed by the property tax. That's all I'm saying.
So you're saying that you believe constituents will not pay a public safety fee?
And the park.
And the parks fee at the same time. Yeah, I don't think they'll do both. Yeah, I think they'll do one or the other. But both, I think it'll cause both of them to fail.
Yeah, so that directly speaks to that 165 portion.
Okay.
We can still include in the budget a slow pulling of the fund balance from the parks, that's already in existence.
And the 85 was coming from where, I'm sorry?
That's the fund balance that
Okay.
already exists in the fund.
But would you restate that plan again, because this is something Mayor Pro Tem continues to bring back, so we wanna be clear on what this is gonna look like this year for the parks. So everybody's clear, Mayor Pro Tem's clear, the Parks Board is clear. Volunteers are clear, the garden club is clear, restate it.
Yes, so there will be a separate parks department and team, one foreman, three, maintenance workers. They will handle the mowing, maintain facilities, ensure, that everything is kept, as decent as we can. Again, they're not gonna rebuild anything, they're not gonna do any of those types of things, right? And then we are going to fund them, in part by using a combination of, if it still exists, the $2 park fee that would occur over this year. That again generally brings in roughly $165,000 a year. And then that fee has, because it has not been spent for many years, except on a couple of pieces of, playground equipment, has accumulated a balance, right, of unspent funds. We can pull a portion of those funds down for the next few years and be able to help us get through this time without eliminating that separate parks group. And so that's the plan that we're working with here. This allows us to maintain a parks dedicated team, to make sure that our parks stay, the joyous and great places that
Safe,
said they are safe.
clean.
Let me just say this, for the most part, we have gotten there. The parks are way better than they were when I first got on. For the most part, it's, stuff that you have to contract out because the facilities can, but there are like minor things that maybe a building somebody would do, but for the most part, all around niche and neighborhood parks are completed with the exception of the ADA sidewalks. That's basically it. And just,
And those are not funded in here.
right, and then maintenance as far as the keeping the playground. That's basically it, and mowing. We've done the hard part over the years. So this move makes sense.
So what this does not do, again, it does do the 80 sidewalks, that would require,
I'm not going there.
I think the fastest way that will happen is by finding
Money.
grant funds that are dedicated to that, which we'll absolutely look for and try and do. The other thing this does not do, and it's something that, the city and council also need to kind of rethink is, this doesn't push the parks plan forward in any way. And so the master plan. Right, there's no building of the sports complex, there's no, any of that type of stuff that's
I understood all of that.
part of that. I'm not sure the parks master plan as it exists right now is still the plan that has like actions moving forward for it. So it might be time to relook at that plan and figure out where we are now, and make the adjustments in the plan. That way we can better know what kind of funding we need and where to look, for that.
I know one of the things that I'm in talks with Rock Beach, I talked to this like yesterday. They are interested, get that on the agenda.
Yes, it's on the agenda.
So that would be, District 8, we don't have a park, the largest district, but we don't have a park, and so we're trying to park. What is the thinking about that, making an additional park, that when I admin the parks plan, we can get that done. Which I think they're interested now, getting that done. And that's cool.
Yes, yeah.
Let me just, if you look at the master plan, there is, a section about District A, and then I think Bobby Beach, and then that property on when, yeah, it's in there as a, just, so we would have a placeholder, but I just want to let you know that there is a section in there.
Cause at one time it was, when I first got on council, it was.
Right.
I didn't know, they never told me that.
Yeah. There's a section for this.
My recommendation would be over this next fiscal year to do a parks master
Yeah,
plan.
that's why I'm not pressing
Redo.
anything.
That way we can then, as a
We need
administrative
to talk
side,
about it.
figure out how to
How to do it.
Right? So much has changed since the previous master plan that we tried to implement a lot of that. Things have already happened that make some of that impossible, and so, I think that's the best way.
And let me just help you. It's not a parks master plan, it's a conceptual plan. They drilled that into our heads. Yeah, it's a conceptual plan.
And it can change.
Yes. Cause I was ready for everything that was printed in there. That's how serious I was, and they had to pull me back and said it's just a concept. So,
So, that's where we are on parks. You know, it allows us to maintain them, again, depending on, what happens in District A, that's something we should be able to find a way to make work, depending on what exactly that, happens there. Um, but yeah, so that's parks, basically, let's keep what we got good. Was kind of the motto for parks.
did I do good, Shannon? Yeah.
All right. Now to the fun one, unless anybody else has anything on parks.
Nope.
All right, so, the last section is streets, but it also includes, the assistant public, works director in there as well, on the cost side. But this is our,
I'm sorry, what?
so, the last.
The person that we asked for? Did I hear
No.
you say that?
No.
That's gonna be
I'm
an
sorry.
admin. Cool. I've got that. Filled in. So this is, the assistant public works director, so Amanda,
Okay,
she is funded out of the general fund. So she just falls into the streets.
She has no duties, no utility duties.
She does, but like, so Shannon is fully funded out of utility fund, and so just to
Balance it.
balance it out.
And the rest of my admins off of utility fund as well.
Okay. So this provides the best
Balance.
balance. We're not quite ready to do, a lot of complicated split funding. Yeah, so this is info.
I was just gonna add in also, just remember when we're talking about streets, we're also talking about easement mowing, talking about right of way mowing, we're talking about tree trimming, we're talking about trash pickup. So it's not just street repair when we're talking about the street department, that's just what it's always been called, the street department. But it includes
You said easement mowing, what else did you say?
just easement cleanup, trash pickup, right of way mowing,
Is this the,
mowing
hold
of
on,
our.
hold on, Shannon,
Yes,
is
sir.
this the group that would pick up the couches and the
Yes, sir.
mattresses? So you said trash pickup, tell me
Yes, sir.
what else you were saying?
Facility mowing comes out of this, funding as well.
Okay,
Tree trimming.
tree trimming,
Yeah.
and that would be like, we have a street that has lower hanging trees.
Yes, sir.
Some of the larger vehicles are not having issues, trash trucks, things of that nature, they're responsible for that.
Yes, sir.
Sign placement and
Yes, sir.
replacement, street light.
nice.
Not.
Not street light, you know what I'm talking about, traffic light.
Yes, sir. Some traffic lights, I guess the only one we're really responsible for is the one off of not Bayou, Lake in,
Cedar.
Cedar. Yeah. So I think that's the only one in the city
It
we're
is
responsible one for right now.
Well, no, we got Ross.
Yes.
Who's responsible for Bayou and Cedar?
Bayou and Cedar, oh, that's a flashing light, that's our festival.
Okay. So any of our internal streets that have lights, we're responsible for, but the streets
Yes.
that are on like the FMs and the
That's
state
correct.
highways.
That's our text on.
Alright, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Shannon.
So like on Jackson Street, and where it ends, that all that brush, that's from that property owner that we've been trying to,
Yes, sir.
it's like worse. So when it gets that bad, what's the solution? Cause I mean, it's coming over, that's been a horrible issue for those people on the street. So would we do it, or the property owner have to do it?
That's not a city property, so that would go through the code side, they would, give them notice. Then, based on our new, new program, they would go out and cite them. And then whenever, again, kind of when we find that sweet spot of when we want to start
But
actively
that's
taking
happening
action.
a lot in District A, as far as private property owners.
Yeah.
Brush is coming over to streets and all that. And we're doing good within the last 2.5 years, and it's just gone. So that'd be a code, thing. Not, that doesn't come out of public works.
Correct, yeah, that would come out of code, and they would base, once it reaches a point where, again, when we figure out exactly what that line looks like, which I know Chief Franklin is working on.
So let me ask you another question. Remember the issue on the alley of, what was that? Not Rosalie, but the street, but in the alleyway, and someone had put all that trash there. Who's responsible for that? That public works or that code?
So it is almost certainly illegal dumping, which is a code issue.
But that number is stayed there 2 months. Everybody trying to figure out who is it.
Allegations
That
are
money
dumping.
comes out of, does it come out of public works money? Does it come out of?
So for illegal dumping specifically, it is a code issue, but code doesn't necessarily go pick up the trash when we're like, this can't stay. Right, that's where we call public works act comes in.
It comes out of public works.
Yeah.
So they are part of that process.
Yeah, and, we work with code on that. If they've done an investigation and they're done with the investigation, there's nothing else they can do, they'll give us an email or phone call, asking us to go pick it up, and then we will schedule it to go pick up when our guys are available. So that's how that process works, but we don't go pick it up until their investigation is over, and we have to get that email from them letting us know it's okay to go pick it up.
In District A, that has been a horrible experience last week. But that process is not working. So it would help if we could make that process faster, because it should be working faster than what it is. Because that was the whole issue, there's a coach picked it up, and then Rashard ended up picking it up and put it all over Facebook, as if Old North Public Works was doing their job. So we want to make sure that that doesn't happen again. That's why I was asking, do we know where the process is and what monies it comes out of?
Yeah, so, one unfortunate thing, from a city's perspective is we can't just, if we see trash, especially big illegal dumping trash, we can't just go pick it up unless we don't want to be able to cite them, we don't want to be able to report that they did something wrong. Right, to actually try and enforce the code and prevent somebody from doing it and hold somebody responsible. We have there's a process that takes a little time. Now we are, again, working to massively shorten that time, clean it up, make it much better. And I know PD, leadership is meeting code every day to
Go after it.
go after it and do those things. So what we should see is a much shorter time from identified to starting the case to resolution of the case, whether that's a citation or something else, to a,
Because I'm saying what
notification
happened,
and
what we
pickup.
were told was, we don't have money to do it. I mean, that's what was told, and I was like, excuse me? That was told to a resident, and I thought, we do have money to do it. Even if we have to go to Shannon or to Waste Management, because we knew it was the neighbor, it was his old fencing.
Yeah.
That did it, so that's a site right there, but I don't think that ever happened. It was obvious it was his old fence,
Yeah.
right, because he got a new fence. And so, but when we communicate to the residents that we don't have money, that's what was told by your staff. That's unprofessional, and that's not the correct way to respond. So that's why I said, we know things were tight this year, and I'm pretty sure that's why they said, we don't have no money, you know? So, but at the same time, we've got to get the correct language, the professional language to our staff to be able to say what to say to our residents, because this is gonna be another time. But I want to make sure that the language is professional and not to the point that we don't have the money, because they looked at it, we didn't have money, because the chart didn't have to move it. But I want to make sure that that's not the case, because if it was on Scott Street in District C, it might have been removed quicker than 2 months. But because it was in an alleyway on an easement in District A, nobody cared. And that should not be happening. But how you treat one district, you treat them all.
that's correct. There should not be any.
Right. I mean, definitely not want to communicate for this thing. I mean, money, and we can't pick it up. But we can pick it up. Well, we're sure pick it up. But I don't want that to happen.
So that, again, once code, has a little more time on your PD, we can solidify like
Right.
illegal dumping cases, this is the schedule for them, right? We'll be able to communicate that to residents, and then we'll be able to tell them, we're in day 6 of the schedule,
Yeah,
right? It says resolution of it being picked up by Public Works is day 12. Right, or whatever that,
yeah,
those
just a
numbers
better process.
look like, right? We can say this is where it is in the process. This is when the resolution of the process will be at the very latest. And, I will say there are some items, on the side of the road that require certain equipment
Right,
to pick up that we might not have, or might have to get waste management or someone else to come and physically pick up. That adds obviously, a delay of a day or two to get them to actually come and do those things, but yes, what we should be seeing is
very efficient.
proactive, communication of where things stand and the timing of things. And then when that happens, just following the rules that we've set. We'll be able to,
That, the staff is a reflection of the city,
yes,
and and that was embarrassing for me to have to hear that from a resident who lives right on that street, who was our community watch captain. And she was appalled, because it didn't happen, they were going back and forth about, we don't have equipment to pick it up, we can't pick it up, and then if somebody had just looked, because the truck picked it up with his bare hands. But nobody bothered to look, and that's the part that I'm so concerned that there's so many of our staff that are sometimes looking at the drama rather than doing the job. We gotta make sure that our directors, make sure that they remember what their job is and not. You can't do anything about the drama. So, you gotta think, okay, on what I am a public servant that's here to represent the people of District A. My job is not to go after people, my job is not to go after staff, my job is to be a voice, that's it. And I think sometimes we get it mixed up, but I just wanna make sure that people know why they're here, because this was a public works, was a big issue. Streets, and I mean, that they're hollering from the rooftops about, hey, y'all slipping, because we had kind of tightened some things up. And that's fine, there's ebbs and flows, I just wanna make sure that you all know I think I said yesterday, there's non-negotiables, public safety, nobody wants to see police and fire gone, nobody wants to see, I mean, if mayor had his choice, he'll have 50 people on public works. Just because it's that, everybody is up in arms about, I mean, Marque is a very proud little city. I can say that because I grew up down the street, and I remember them teasing us in Dickinson about our little ragged roads, they had paved streets. When it wasn't the norm, Dickinson, Hitchcock, and Santa Fe, we had rocks and gravel. But Lamarck had paved streets, and so they're very proud of their paved streets and their streets looking nice. So it's a non-negotiable for them because that is their standard. And so they are gonna holler about trash, they are gonna holler about the police, more so than maybe other little small towns of our size, because they had paved roads. And I know that is a non-negotiable for most of them. So that's why we're kind of letting the urgency in that area and the pride they take about their community.
and I think we're doing what we can. In this proposed budget, it's not everything that can be done, because obviously we don't have,
Yeah.
a $10 million donation to streets coming in every year. But, this is,
I'll take pictures of Jefferson, who's watching them.
I do think the changes that are coming in code are going to really help. We gotta get all those kind of, narrow in what timing we want to have and how we're doing those things. But I do think that will kind of clean up part of that. And then, on the street side, what we are proposing in this part of the budget is, and I know, this is all the script and, Pro Tem. So this is, the
little chart.
the org chart. This is not the,
Good one.
this is the best,
Okay,
the best one. So,
just the same one I have, I think, yeah, it is.
so, what we're proposing is funding this completely,
Okay,
right? So this is a foreman, 2 equipment operators, 1, right, so 1 one team of 4 with an equipment operator and 3 maintenance techs. One team of 3 with an equipment operator and 2 maintenance techs. And then a 2-team, traffic coordination and specific road, issue.
Was that 3 teams now?
3 teams.
And we got what now? How many now?
We technically still have the 3 teams.
But they're
Not-
parts all
Yeah,
over the
because
place.
we have
Okay.
our, guys that are doing just a cold patch, but
Okay.
once we get the hot patch trailer working, their focus is gonna be only on the specific streets. And
Okay.
that, cause now we have the equipment to handle that. Then you have your other guys which are doing mowing, debris pickup, then you have trimming, and then you have your traffic technician, which will be handling the street signs.
Oh, so you got one person then.
Right now, yes, ma'am.
That'll go to allow them to actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, how about that? Where everybody has
Okay.
designated duty.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So from a staffing side on the streets, that's what we're proposing. Again, it's not here's a limited amount of money, what would we do, but this is
Just
a
continue on.
full board effort to show we're listening.
Yeah.
You know, this is what we can offer. In addition to that, if you look down at the 5-year asset line, it's the second to last, expense line in that public works group. It includes, $250,000 that is explicitly there to ensure we have the equipment necessary to have hot patch up and running.
Okay.
Yes.
And do we,
Accessories.
All the accessories,
is it true? Yeah, it's on Christmas.
Yeah, way too.
We just making a wish list?
I have no idea what we do right now. I'm listening.
Okay.
so,
Worth,
yes, sir.
months and Sundays ago, you told us you were gonna acquire that equipment through an auction.
That is how that is funded in here.
So at some point, we're gonna actually go through the revenue side. And we're gonna see this whole line item that says auction.
Correct.
It's gonna have $250,000 in it.
$250,000.
And are we gonna see what's being auctioned off? Will it be nails? Will it be screws? Will it be cups? Will it be napkins? Cause that's not $250,000 worth.
No, so, the bigger dollar items are a lot of the equipment that's dead.
But you're gonna show us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll go through all of that.
And this is part of that inventory process we're trying to get done.
It all rolls into that as well, yes. What we want to be able to do is, once something is obsolete, not used, be able to classify it as surplus and then auction it off as opposed to trying to wait. I have no idea how many years, accumulate an outrageous amount of stuff. And then have to do all the extra work to kind of push that forward. So. So that is part of the plan, is getting hot patch fully up and running. Again, the value there is that when we replace, instead of having the same cold patch 4 times a year, it's one hot patch every 3 to 10 years.
Make it last up a day.
Right, and then that will actually allow public works to catch up. And then only be filling new potholes, but, you know,
How many people on the street team again?
Currently, we have,
In the new budget?
in the new budget, it's gonna be 10.
We have 12 now.
We have 9 right now. It'd be, adding that extra person, that would be, which is the equipment operator, then you can have your team. You can't have our team right now, we don't have that extra equipment operator that one.
Is that an open position right now?
It is,
Okay.
yeah, we don't have it filled.
What position is that?
It's the equipment operator.
That wasn't good last year.
It was frozen,
Yeah.
in the frozen position, yes, ma'am.
Well, how many equipment operators currently?
In the street department, we have 1.
That's active,
Yes.
that's at work?
Yes, sir.
so.
Mosquito machine.
So we are in talks about that. I know that's a big deal. I have, that's kind of on the stormwater side, so that is actually a utility fund, which we can talk more about it then. But we are actually putting plans together to have a conversation to potentially, allow us to run it without putting a strain on the budget. One of the conversations have been with the chief Merriman, and if we have a license, all we need is one licensed guy, and then others can work under them, including the fire department, which is already here during the nighttime when you'd be spraying. So they could go out and spray the streets, without incurring overtime or having to add an extra position. So we are working on that, on those aspects of it without incurring extra cost. So.
That's why you're my favorite.
It was all, because I didn't have, to jump on board, but it was our conversation with.
Team effort, sir. Came between both of us. I'm just.
So, so that's our plan for streets, is to convert from short-term, you know, fixes that don't do a great job to, you know, long-term fixes. Fully, you know, fund the full, group, let them have 3 separate teams that can all tackle different pieces, and, you know, be able to do more of a larger breadth of work.
But where are we on the bond? The last time you reported to us, you were saying you all had met with the engineers.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, we haven't received an update. I've contacted them recently, through email. We still have the engineer, with Attica. We've both been kind of hammered on both sides. Just, we did do a walkthrough. That was the last bit of that, was a walkthrough of each street so that they can start designing the project and, moving forward. But,
Like 13 streets.
so it's gonna be about 6 or 7 streets, yes, ma'am. But that is, I mean, it's a work in progress. We're gonna see that happening, which is gonna be a benefit for us, because we'll be able to see those, the street being done. That's, will knock at least those 6 off our list and off our plate that have been, and we've, the street, I don't have the list on me at this moment, but there's some of our major streets that we've been having issues with.
And I don't think we need to take it off the table. I think we need to continually talk to our county commissioners about more infrastructure help
Yeah,
that they can bring to the table for the county. So that's an idea. So see what kind of funding they can bring to the table. I know they want to come back. Let me just say, man.
yeah, you're fine.
I know they wanna come back because they didn't get that part of the fix for the juvenile center, for that part was on fail. So they have to wait 3 years to come back to bring it back, but I know that they're trying to, that may be something when they bring that back again, we can ask them about the additional streets to be added. When they do bring that back, but the juvenile center needs to be done, and I've been told that they are gonna come back and bring before the people again, so maybe we can see if we can get forward with that, like we did last time.
Yeah.
Our part passed, but their part, that part. didn't.
Regarding this. Residents just wanna know that the work is being done. And the only way that I know that is to see reports.
Yes, ma'am.
The other thing that I use those reports for is depending on what I see in the district, I might want to make that my priority. And so. Because of some of the information I got, not all of the concerns I've seen have been reported, so I just make my own notes. And that's why those reports are important to me, because if they're not on there, then I want to
Yes, ma'am.
submit those.
Yeah.
That's why the reports are important to me. The other thing is I want to be looking for grants
Yes, ma'am.
to help facilitate some of the concerns that I have in my district. That's why those reports are important. I just wanted to say that.
And we're about to be to a spot where reports are gonna be easily available at just a click of a button with this new program. Now, as mentioned before, that I have to actually sit down and find time for hours to be able to go through all the work orders and put it together, which I've done, I'm working on. But it's about to get to the point where they'll be readily available at any moment almost every council meeting where y'all ask for them and we are able to just provide them.
And this is me saying.
Yes, ma'am.
And from my other cohort, I'm not gonna stress you about those
Yes.
reports. Now that you know
Yes,
what
ma'am.
they mean to me until
Yeah.
the actual ones are ready.
And you'll be able to, and I'll be giving y'all reports, I usually try to do what I can at the council meetings, that we're able to provide them. So you won't go without until it's in place, you'll have what we're able to give. But once that program's in place, the open gov, we'll be able to give y'all anything y'all want at just the click of a button when it comes to work orders, work being done. Districts and.
Okay.
Well, I think, this hit on what, Mayor Pro Tem was suggesting. The idea that we're creating a community development director will speak to the, part of that, the grant funding, the search for grants, the application of those grants, the coordination with, yes, I think that'll help us out tremendously. But what I wanted to share this with you, you're not the cause of this, but definitely something that needs to be adjusted and implemented, starting now. You just so happen to be in the seat. You know, all the years that I've been here, during budget workshop, plans are rolled out and introduced, right? We got this great plan, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great, right? You talk about the plan and then the council says, yeah, that's good, that's a great plan. And we never hear that plan again. And the whole rest of the year, whatever that plan was supposed to solve continues to be a problem, right? You just described several plans. You talked about a street plan. Talked about a parks plan, right? And you talked about a shop plan. So what we need as a council, we are nodding our heads. Shannon, you brought some plans. In the middle of this, there was a mosquito truck and some firefighters in the middle of it. All sorts of things. The people are gonna need to see this. And the people are gonna need to have a way to keep track of it. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to develop policies. So when we pass this budget, I am saying as mayor, I also want council to pass plans. $5 budget, and these are all the things that we said that we were gonna do this year. We are going to pass the whole thing this year. Make sense?
Yep.
Every plan you create that we accept, we're gonna pass. And you're going to put that plan down. It's gonna be clear for the people to understand it. It's gonna have timelines associated with it. It's gonna have key performance indicators associated with it. You will get formal direction from council for it. It will have updates put in the midst of the plan, monthly updates to update the council and the community on the progress of the plan. It's gonna be a whole plan, right? Because there's gonna be no more of this great idea and then the budget passes and then we forget about it. Because that's why we are still having some of the same conversations that all of us have brought up. Ms. Williams just got here. She's talking about stuff that we've been talking about 20 years ago. Storage tanks. So I want to be clear. Whatever plans we're developing for the fire and public works and police, along with this budget, we're not just giving you money anymore. We're going to bless staff with the financial resources, the human resources, but we need a plan that we can follow every month based on the money that we're given for the services we expect every month. Make sense?
Yep.
All right. Good deal. The other thing I wanted to mention, Shannon, here's the other issue that drives people crazy. I don't know, somebody mentioned the public wants to know, I think that might have been Mayor Pro Tem. Public wants to know that you're doing something, right? I think we all kind of innately know that something's being done. But the public wants to know what's being done. And really, they want to know where it's being done, right? And that kind of gets under your skin if you are a municipal employee, because it's like, well, Trust me, right? And I get it. I was a municipal employee. But at the same time, I think it's their right to know, so long as they don't abuse that right. In other words, if we have a major project on Shady Lane, and we know we're gonna be there, we need to let the people know.
Yes, sir.
Public Works, the street teams are gonna be on Shady Lane all week long, and then a caveat at the bottom. Now, y'all do know if something happens, that's an emergency, we won't be there. That way, because part of the response from Public Works over the years has been, well, things change in the course of a day. We might start out here, but then some, I think people get that. But I think that they can connect the idea that you've been on Shady Lane 3 days in a row, and all of a sudden you're not here the fourth day. And at the bottom of this thing, it says, if there's an emergency, we'll have to redirect. I would like to see, and council, if you disagree, speak up. I would like to see us move intentionally in that space. If we have an organized calendar for, it sounds like stormwater, let's publish that. And let's talk a little bit about, you might not be able to get it down to every week, every street, but you should be able to get it down to, for the second half of May, we're gonna be somewhere on these, 5, 7, 10 streets. Right, doing these types of things. I think it's important that we start to provide that level of information to the public. Now, if people just start to pass by and harass you and break the law, threaten you, or impede your ability to do your job, or make you feel frightened or fearful or threatened, right? Then that's why we have a police department. And so we don't wanna limit the people's ability to be informed about their government because we're fearful of some of the potential bad actors. So I'd like to see a plan for that as well, because people want to know what their tax dollars are doing for them in the city of Lamar. So I'll stop there, step back. Anybody want to jump in on anything?
We also harass them with drinks and snacks.
They do. They do a good job.
Sometimes you get assaulted with a tall glass of lemonade.
So we ain't gonna stop doing that when we see them out there working hard to it. We're just gonna continue to have to help us.
I do believe, Mayor, that you were correct, that the main reason, at least that's been told to me, is that they were worried about people, harassing.
Yeah.
If they knew exactly, like, we're gonna be at 2264 to 27.
And some will,
Yeah.
secretly drive by and check it out and send text messages. I get them all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't know about any other districts. I just know the people in District 80. And they just go and find things and they send them to me, and that's how we work as a
I believe
team.
that's why
District 80.
That's
But, and I understand what you're saying.
communicated to me, as you noted, that
Yeah, sure.
that's why it hasn't kind of been a thing that has been done. But what we can do is, partner with the police and say, hey, we know public works is gonna be in these areas. Maybe
Extra patrols.
an extra patrol that area for that day.
You get your police chief to do a video, Mr. Ferguson,
Stay away from
and wrap his arm around Shannon. And a couple of those crew members, and you get your police chief to say, if you mess with these guys on the street, you're messing with me.
And I will say that our biggest concern isn't the harassment, it's people walking into an unsafe environment. And we do have to.
Well, they're gonna want inspection.
Asking
Yeah.
questions. and-
No, they're gonna want to
And
inspect.
we do have to ask them to step out, that's when they get a little argumentative at times, but they do need to stay out of the work zone.
Yeah.
You don't have that valve in the right place, Ms. Charday.
So that's our main concern, is that citizens are walking in when there's a hole covered, and we just don't want that to happen. That's our biggest,
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
but
Is it, I know what you're gonna say, cause you're a resident of Lamar. Is it your right as a taxpayer to know exact in every aspect available, outside of police and legal issues, right, that are clearly outlined by the law?
Mhm.
Do you believe it's your right to know every aspect of your government as it functions?
Yes, sir. Okay. As a citizen, yeah.
So what we gotta do is we have to be able to promote that right but at the same time, provide for strict barriers
Mhm.
and boundaries.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the law enforcement piece, and I was being so serious about a video
Mhm.
with our police chief, maybe we need to remind people that, anything other than being respectful, courteous, you can ask questions of your public works
Yeah.
folks.
Can I do a cameo?
They wanna tell you what they're doing.
Yeah.
But when it goes beyond respect, courteous, inquisitive,
Yeah.
you know, and we're out there 30 minutes having a conversation about tax dollars and is the culvert set right?
Yeah.
No, move on. At this point, it's getting ready to be a police action. Yeah.
We can definitely go that direction, again, the video is a great idea in terms of like, you know, we're gonna provide this to you, but to protect.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna try to open our government up even more to make it more transparent and available.
Yeah.
But there are strict parameters with
Yeah.
this for the safety of our men and women in the public works department.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good exchange. I think the vast majority of the people in Lamar will understand that and support that and appreciate the fact that they have the knowledge, you know, and know that, you know, along with that knowledge comes security and protection.
I have one, heartburn.
Yes.
Okay, and it's kind of along with Councilwoman Yancey, what she said. A lot of residents that I have, spoken with and have had to report concerns, have made contact with, I'm gonna say the foreman.
Mhm.
And the foreman tells them that they're gonna come back and they never come back. They never, what can we, and it's happened a lot. And so what can we do when the foreman goes out and assess the situation? What can we do in that moment to educate them about what's gonna happen with the situation? Because I'm assuming he's coming back to report whatever it is.
Yeah.
You may or may not come out and that person is getting the same response from you.
Yeah.
And then it's just dead.
Yeah.
What can we do to fix that moving forward?
The first thing I would recommend is if a foreman ever comes out to a site, says they're gonna come back and not come back, that somebody reports that instantly, that is my desk. So I can handle that situation, because that should not be happening
Right.
at all. I've had those conversations with them. We're trying to nip a lot of that in the butt when we can, and we've already made those movements internally, things I can't talk about. But,
Okay.
secondly, if they haven't already, put in a request tracker so that Miss Lisa has it. There's a work order created, so there's a paper trail showing that, there was a work request. It wasn't just word of mouth.
Mhm.
And that foreman came out, you could put those in the notes that said they would come back.
Okay.
And that way we can stay on top of it, because I do expect my foreman to follow through to what they say.
Some of them tell me that they emailed you and I asked them if they've done request tracker, and if they tell me they don't, I will do request tracker and not communicate that with the
Yeah.
city manager.
Yeah.
But if they've told me that they've done request tracker and they've emailed you and hadn't heard from you, then I will, ask the city manager to find out what's going on with it. That's just the way I
I
do
would
it, so.
also just make sure they're vanilla, like me directly.
Well, that's why I asked the two
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah, a citizen, can email me directly, they can call my number. And I usually, it may not be right away, but I usually tend to answer when they email me directly. So.
You need an assistant.
I do. I do, but we had a lot of that.
I can say that, the assistants for the directors are also outrageously busy,
Is what?
I do think that this next year, and I know this is, but I do think going into this next year is gonna
It'll
be
be
a little
better.
better because of what happened last year.
Okay.
I think there was a lot of just.
I got you. It was a lot.
I'm just, without going into, so I do believe going into this next year, not just in public work, but I think all the directors as a whole are gonna be, doing a better job.
But you guys have done a lot of work in District D. I know people may not see it, but I see it compared to a year ago.
Yeah.
It does not look like it looked a year ago.
There's only one thing left in Public Works. It is in that same grouping, and that is, our two facility positions. As we talked about previously, they're both vacant right now.
Is that facility maintenance?
Yes.
Okay,
What we are wanting to do, because of, in the long run, significantly reduce costs on the city, is hire a HVAC specialist and an electrician. Because we have to call out often for basic, services that relate to that if we could handle internally, use a significant money just from those and repeat call outs.
And if we got those two specific, because there was questions like, why not get a plumber or something for other jobs, but if we specifically got those two, when it came to even AC replacements, like currently at the library, those two could handle those types of jobs with an electrician and an AC tech that are able and would save us a lot of money, because the ACs were bad, but we have other ACs in the system that are on the verge of just one bad day going down.
So that is our goal there, is we would think that's,
What department would that be?
it's in Public Works and the general fund.
Who would that, those persons report to?
They would report to Shannon, or they report to Amanda. So it's right now.
And Amanda would have parks.
There's parks, streets, and then, shop and maintenance. Okay.
How many folks is that total?
That is, let's see,
17 or 18?
yeah.
so the general fund is
But not all
Amanda's,
indirect, not
is
all
it
direct.
Amanda's department?
Yeah,
I'm just saying it like that, I'm.
Yeah, it helps out a lot there, that for her, with,
Okay,
I'm just curious, just out of curiosity, what heavy equipment's being operated?
currently, we have our mini excavators, our back truck, our jet machine, our great all. We have our backhoe, and I think that's all of it. We have multiple, like we have two mini excavators in the back, but those are heavy equipment we're currently operating in the city.
yeah, but this is Amanda, and he's overloaded. Okay, it just is.
Ms. Williams, did you get your question asked? Okay. Going back to the line item work.
Yep.
Public Works, 5,100 salaries. It looks like fiscal year 2025, the salaries were budgeted at 474,000. Looks like
That was our actual,
that was the actual,
yes,
where it says FY 2025.
yes.
Okay. And the year to date, okay, so let's look at the year to date then. The year to date then is at 385,000, which means it's gonna probably end somewhere north of 400,000, easy. But the fiscal year 2026 budget is at 253,000. There's a reduction of at least $150,000 in that line item, if not more.
So, that's the current year budget, which is obviously under budgeted. I can't really speak to why, if I wasn't really part of that budget, so. But what we are budgeting for next year is 640,000. It's the very last column. Is the proposed budget. And one of the things that does bring actual numbers down for salaries is big.
When you say budget, you said fiscal year 2027 budgeted adjusted. What was it adjusted from?
Oh, so,
Because I think that's throwing me, I don't know about the ladies, but that's throwing me off.
so that's from when we started, we had the no new revenue budget. And then the adjustment was showing, what adjustments we're making to come to a maintained service budget.
So in your presentations, you want us to see fiscal year 27 budget as the proposal you're making?
Yes, that very last.
Unofficially.
Yes,
This is your unofficial proposal.
this is the unofficial proposal as
Alright,
Going forward from the changes yesterday.
okay,
Yeah.
okay, cause I'm looking at fiscal year 2026 budget, thinking that's your proposal. I got you, okay.
I mean, one of the big drivers of, the costs in the budget being higher are the fact that the budget assumes you're fully staffed for the full year. In actuality, it's difficult, right? And so that is why, actuals tend to be a little lower
Yeah, yeah.
in the salaries base.
Yeah.
Whenever we get to a circle back point, I have a circle back.
And this morning's discussion,
Yes,
we're there.
we are.
Okay.
Couple of things, Parks, KLB or Cemetery Board, are there any memberships?
Can you?
People who are, keep Texas beautiful, or we maintaining those memberships?
Yes, so, that is, both KLB and Cemetery have their own funds.
Okay,
And so those memberships are paid, in those funds.
and Parks?
Parks has two funds,
Mhm.
that isn't just what's in Public Works. So the actual $2, fee,
Mm-hmm,
that rolls into its own fund,
okay,
and then the $2 donation fee,
mm-hmm,
right, that $1 of that rolls into a separate Parks fund,
okay.
and $1 rolls into KLB's fund.
Did you give me a question?
If they have memberships, they are covered in those other, the other funds budgets, not here. Because they're tied to those specific entities, not Public Works.
Okay. That was my question.
Do you agree with that or not agree with that?
No, I don't wanna tie it up, I'm looking for the
This is just the general fund, so they're not in
here,
here.
okay. I'll find it somewhere.
We can circle back.
We'll talk about them when we, so the plan is to do general fund, utility fund, and then all the other funds, because they're all much smaller, much quicker. Simpler, just kind of just knock them out real quick one.
Okay, I got you.
And so that's how we're working now.
Got it.
Mhm.
Anybody else on street, parks, or shop? I think that the six, staffers that we were looking at, cutting, that's no longer on the table in this scenario.
In this scenario.
Anybody else?
Did we make considerations for, park fees?
In, thinking about rentals and,
Mm-hmm,
so yeah, if you look at revenue,
mm-hmm,
which is the very end of those two pages. You'll see, we do have, plastic bag sales, park rentals, there's that transfer from the park fund. That's the hard $2 charge, where that fund rolls into. And then taxes. Mayor, for your auction item, that is in the non-department. Because when, I created this, it wasn't all. We were thinking, I was anticipating splitting that among multiple departments. But if you look at the revenues in the, non-department, it's the very back. Where it is a line item. Or. Sale of assets. It's about 7 up from the bottom of the last one.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
And how we would need is a list of those assets that we intend to sell.
Yes, and, part of that process, we have to create the list because we didn't have to surplus it before the auction.
So you, both of you are confident that this list will generate at least $250,000?
I feel confident in what they're into. It includes, the old, fire truck, as well as a bunch of, a broken grade all, broken street sweeper,
Road crane, truck.
broken, so there's, just a lot of heavy machinery pieces. And so those, even for getting those sell really well. So that's the biggest driver of the dog food.
Now that I see how these pieces connect. Okay. So Public Works maintains parks. They have the funding in their budget. But that's all that they do. They don't do the administrative stuff for parks.
This is,
They do.
okay.
So if you're gonna renting the park or?
Well, no, there's, for instance, the wildlife, conservation thing we're supposed to be amending. I was trying to figure out why, it was sent to parks instead of being, in that area, but I guess I'm hearing now that Amanda does the administrative stuff.
No, she only administers the services. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So who does stuff like amending the parks master plan and,
That's council in conjunction with the administration.
okay,
So that would be us, that would be at this point Worth. Think of us, Worth, think of Worth's assistant in the office.
so they do that part and they're just focused on the maintenance, the maintaining.
They're focused on carrying out whatever we decide in this budget. Maintenance, cleanup,
Mhm.
repair, replace, all year long. Once we pass this budget, all year long through Shannon, Amanda, in this current case,
Mhm.
is going to carry out everything that we vote on. Everything we vote on for this budget,
Yeah,
it's their job to do everything that we vote on for parks, if we're talking about parks. So that's how they administer.
okay.
But as far as the administrative clerical piece,
Mhm.
that goes back to the city manager's office and the council.
Okay, I got you.
So if there are partnerships and things that need to happen with wildlife and we need to adopt their stuff and comply with their stuff, things like that, that has to come through him and it has to come from us.
Do we get input from Public Works about those things?
We set a meeting. And.
But why?
But why what?
But why would we get input from them about the administrative piece if it doesn't impact?
Because once we decide administratively and make a decision,
Mhm.
then we give him a direction. And then he has to direct them to carry it out. And so they will have to have an understanding of what it looks like to carry it out. And they would be able to articulate what they would need to carry it out, if that makes sense.
Mhm. I'm just trying to make sure we are addressing that that Public Works is not park superintendent.
What do you mean, park superintendent?
That they don't do the whole parking. My understanding was they took care of everything related to parks. That is what I've always thought.
Physically. Yeah.
Because it's under their department.
That is true. They physically take care of parks.
They don't decide, we're gonna do this wildlife, partnership.
Yeah.
But what they will do is if we decide that we're gonna do this wildlife partnership and fund it.
They execute.
They then get the staff and
Yeah.
the funding to, execute that.
But it's outside of the work that they do. Do y'all understand you don't understand what I'm saying?
It's out,
They focus streets, water.
parks is inside of the work they do. Maintaining the parks is part of their primary. any special projects to improve the parks would have to come from the council through the manager.
Okay,
And then they're the ones that actually have to get the work done. And those special projects are outside of their normal parks duties,
right.
right?
Mhm.
And they have to be directed to do that from the council through the manager to their organization with funding, with policy, through ordinance, through other resolution directives or whatever.
As an example, if we wanna put up a new playground. Right? That idea comes to council, council says, yes, identifies the funding, assigns that funding. Says, we want this part at wherever. We then, or not this part, this, place set,
Mhm.
right? We then go and, implement that by getting an RFQ. Determining what it's gonna, who can do it, but that's where, like, that's where parks will come in and manage. The process of getting the RFQ, making sure that all that's compliant, and then actually supervising the installation and that.
Okay.
But before they can do any of that, it has to be approved by council, and there has to be funding associated if required.
Okay, I got you. I got it.
You
I'm
got it?
good.
You good?
I got it. Thank you, guys.
All right, Mr. Worth, where are we?
So, I'm uncertain on one.
It's 12:18.
So, what I will suggest is that we can move on to administration while I, get a timeline on,
Administration of Public Works.
no, admin itself, city admin.
When,
Budget.
I thought you said we're doing utilities. Are you?
Oh, so, we're still in the general fund.
Oh, you wanna finish the general fund? I got
And
you,
then,
okay.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, all right, that works, because that should take.
yeah.
Thank you.
May or may not be back.
I got a feeling,
What are you hoping for, Shannon? I gotta make it happen.
I got a feeling you will be.
So turn around on your way out and send a signal. Well, I didn't, but you know who sent me a text and a picture? Okay.
I'll see y'all.
Thank you, Shannon.
Oh, thank y'all.
All right, so the next department and the next cluster. We talked previously about how once we get to these more back of the house, departments, we clustered them together. To better, function and so, we're starting the administration cluster, and then start with, the city manager office admin itself. That's the next page in your packet. This department includes HR. It includes communication. It includes the city manager, the assistant to the city manager, and, it has had the new, community position added in as well. So that's what's in this proposal here. It does not include a deputy city manager, and it does not include a city receptionist.
So you're saying we should be focused on the fiscal year 2026 budget, which is the actual.
The fiscal year 2026 year to date is at the date I pulled this with.
So the fiscal year, what is the fiscal year 2026 budget? What is that?
That's the budget that was approved for fiscal year 2026.
Last year.
Yeah, the year we're currently in. Yeah.
So we should be probably comparing that line to the
Yes,
end line.
to the end line, yeah,
Okay, to see what the increases will be, or
Yeah.
decreases.
yes.
And so last year, we funded a city manager out of this line, we
Yes.
funded a deputy city manager.
We did not fund it at PC.
So last year, a city manager, an assistant to the city manager,
Manager,
and communications person,
HR,
HR director,
and, I believe the receptionist
the receptionist.
was funded but not filled.
This year, we're city manager, HR, assistant to the city manager, community
Communication
development,
and community development.
and what was the other one you did?
Communication.
Yeah, that's correct. So this community development director position. We talked about this person taking all of the duties that we figured out aren't being done because nobody's really assigned to them, like grant seeking, grant writing, be to the relationship we have with waste management, with the whole franchise, with the actual waste management operation, the franchise taxation piece would be part of it. The grant administration will be part of it. The CO administration will be part of it. The issue with illegal dumping, the public works piece will be part of it. Vendor relations would be part of it. Meaning people that we obviously contract with the city, the lawnmower outfit, for example, that those are, keeping those folks current, keeping them in, making sure that they are compliant, they have insurance, all of those good things that, are important to us. Did we mention anything else? Bringing establishing partnerships. Project management, obviously.
And that's designed in this position, is it added to it?
Yeah, and we'll add to it, add more to it probably after lunch, now that we kind of we're starting to narrow it down. And see, but we need to be thinking for that position, that position needs to be a direct line to the manager.
Yeah.
And that position needs to be responsible for accountability, all those little catch-all things that are falling through the cracks, that are costing us money. And all sorts of other issues.
Yeah.
So,
So that is how it's built in, I mean, I was usually job description and all of those things, but that is how it is built in here. The one, you'll see one major reduction, and that is, professional services, we're not outsourcing any, manager, anything like that, so that item goes down. In terms of actual expenditures. Beyond that, we are trying to keep admin,
this number, this number of salaries is reflective of the agreed salary, as per Carter's agreed salary.
it's,
So the EPC assistance to communication, that has come down to $10,000.
yes.
Cause at one point, I know it was 50,000 2 years ago. So why did that come down? You know?
Two reasons, and we have an EDC represented here as well, but,
I just want to know. I can't remember. It would, we no longer need it, cause now we had Colleen. And that was.
so part of it is, that they're providing service in other ways, so they have, you know, their own communications person, they also, their admin assistant does assist Colleen in tasks that can be done at a desk. Because that's her background is communications, so they're providing assistance in that way. And they're also trying to make sure their budget, is contained and they don't overextend. As well, so that.
Now, another $1 million that was set aside for the EDC, did that ever get paid? Remember, not for the EDC, for the railroad, that's still sitting out there,
We received that money.
so now we receive, what's the value? No, we're not talking about EDC yet. Oh,
Yeah, that's, and we need the other funds.
okay, when we done, okay, I'll reserve for that. Ask those questions, I just saw it here.
Yeah, so this is, the EDC as part of their proposed budget that their board has approved. Which you also have to approve as well, but
Yeah, they'll be in front of us
Yeah.
at some point, right?
yes, yeah, Alex will come and do that when we get there. Again, that'll be part of that other funds. Other funds piece. As part of that, budget, they designated a few departments where they were contributing. Funds to, and so those are noted in here. One of them is communications. They also are contributing to IT and the finance. As well.
Professional services, tell me about that.
So the big driver of that cost right now is obviously we've had, for the last year, a outside, entity providing that service,
Takes us first,
Texas First, so it's not a salary, it's a professional service.
for the manager.
Well, I'm talking about professional service, you only have $10,000 in. I'm on the administration side of.
Oh, yeah, so look at the last column, it says 25.
What about that?
The theory there is that we shouldn't need a whole lot of outside, service. We have a new city manager. We have a communications person, we have an HR person. Yeah, we've got an assistant to the city manager.
So this would be for what then? For somebody we would need?
So if for some reason, like there's a major project that comes up that we need something additional, I know, I mean, yeah, we also have this new community development position that will be able to pick up a lot of that. But if, again,
Right.
there's some, you know, some major event, somebody comes down.
And we run out of bandwidth?
Here in a few days, we'll be talking to somebody, a different individual as the city manager.
And you'll feel better, because that'll be one less hat I work.
One less hat.
Okay,
I'm doing my best.
okay,
One less hat.
you're doing a great job.
So when it comes to advertising and promotion, you have $10,000 in that. Some of the things I don't think that we've done well is sell our, all-American store.
Mhm.
When it comes to the pushback and this all negativity. Would have been nice to have all-American patches that we could have given to the Lamar Cougars to put on their uniforms, just to remind people we are in our all-American city. And I know some people I don't think we shout enough about that, and I know such a budget has gone up in that area. Is that something that we could possibly get?
It's possible, the intent of going up in that area is, as you have noted, I think we need to do a better job of telling our story, of getting all the positive stuff out there. And this provides, our communications person, an actual budget to, produce more video, to, that kind of stuff where we can really push that story out there.
Now, the PEG funds were being used to do some of that. So that comes, we'll talk.
Yes, yeah, so, the PEG funds, they have to be used for, certain types of promotional stuff. One of our intents, is to utilize those funds to create an actual, podcast location in this building, which also then allows us to use them to help fund the new, equipment for the building. Yeah. So that.
Which will help council chambers?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure where exactly we're gonna put the studio, we have to actually designate a specific spot, ensure a certain level of lighting and sound and everything, but, what we have done is, we have PEG funding,
So that's what the increase, from 3,000 to 10,000, help you.
Well, so this is actually aside from that. This is just like producing, more videos of our events that go really well, or, you know,
I was wondering, because it had gone up, so I was just trying to see what you were doing with that. Since
Yeah.
it has gone up.
I believe we need to tell our story better than we currently are.
Let me ask you a question. So advertising and promotion, you spent $21,000 this year in advertising, I can't tell. $21,000 according to this budget. You spent $21,000 in 2026.
That's what was budgeted.
Y'all speak up a little bit.
I'm sorry.
They're getting a little bit,
Oh, they can't hear?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm sorry, so, we budgeted $21,000, we've only spent $1,100.
Oh, okay. So that just stayed in there, that money?
Yeah, so, you know, when this budget was created, we still didn't know the full extent of everything that was going on.
Right.
And so the more we get into the year, the more we find out, the more we pull back on things, even if they had, some of them had been budgeted. If they weren't tied to like something we had to do, we held back as much as we could, because we wanted to make sure that we wouldn't get ourselves in a situation where we could financially account.
Well, I would like you to look into those patches. All American City patches, they were choice for that I can for. Again, like the mayor said, people come out with plans and it doesn't get implemented. If they said what they wanna do, and you came back, they never got done because of drama. But maybe that's something that we can do to kind of push back, then All American City is seen everywhere, right? And I just think if you have the money, let's do it. Use it. You got businesses, local businesses that do t-shirts right here in town, but we're still going to Texas City, which I don't understand that. We have local businesses right here that, in my opinion, the city needs to be doing business with. That's local, and that's sales tax. So, so that's another area, but when I saw the budget, that's why my question was, what have you done with it? Now we know you haven't done much with it.
Yeah, again, and it's not just this line item, you'll see that in, quite a few places where,
And I guess my question to you is, I would like to know what budgets haven't been used. Like what's left over? You know, like what budgets, I would like to just know what is left over in the budgets that haven't been.
we could definitely,
I know that maybe, I don't think that's, but you don't know what's left over, but it'd be nice to know. And if you already have that somewhere,
yeah, so not on a line item basis, but on rolled up, so like personnel services,
Yeah.
you know, contract, if you go to the budget to actual
Yeah.
on the website, it'll actually tell you how much is left in each of those kind of rolled up categories for each department.
it was already there.
Already, yeah,
Okay.
it's online. I will note, it's a good thing we didn't just full spend every, budget line item, because there are line items that were misbudgeted way under what
Okay.
ended up being required to be spent. One good example is, you know, and I forget the exact department, so, figure that, but we had one department that their salaries, for whatever reason, I don't know, were way under budget for their position, so they're already like $100,000 over their salary line item, right? And,
$100,000 over?
yes, I have to go find the specific
Okay.
department, but, yeah, there were things, you know, as an example, if you look at admin's budget, right? We didn't budget to spend, you know, $250,000 on, an inner city manager for the whole year, right? We budgeted for a very short period of time for using that and then an actual city manager.
Right.
So there's a lot of room in the salary budget, but the professional service budget is vastly over what it was budgeted, so.
The easier you can make it for us, the better. So we're not always gonna tell the truth.
Yeah.
So the easier you can make it, even if it's just a.
So I think starting with that budget actual online, again, it is rolled up into different categories, so it's not every individual line item, but those categories are grouped together in specific groupings to make them easier
Understand.
to understand. And so you're not looking at, you know, 80 numbers, you're looking at 4 or 5.
So with the $800,000 software that we just purchased,
Yes,
I cannot go in there and ask the question, I would like to know each department, that has gone under budget? It's not able to tell me that?
It's on, if you look at it in, and
I'm just asking.
yes,
I mean, if I come to you as a councilwoman and said, I would like to know X, Y, Z, don't ask me to look it up, because I'm having a time. I need to know X, Y, Z, what is over budget, what is under budget.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna show me.
so this is the report that's online.
Uh-huh.
And so like here you see fire events,
Mhm.
and then again, those rolled up categories, so it's a little easier. This is what they spent in fiscal year 2025. This is what has been spent so far.
And that's the difference,
And then this is the budget amount. I'm sorry.
but it doesn't tell me the difference.
It does,
Okay.
I'm like, gosh, you see that. So this is our budget. This is how much is left in the budget, and this is what percentage of the budget they've used.
Okay, oh, that's good. Okay. So does it give you a total at the end?
Yes, it totals for each one.
The total for each one?
Is there reports online?
Okay, that's what's wrong. Can you show her that?
No, I mean, I know that they're there. I'll ask my question later.
But
not right now.
sometimes you don't know what to look for, but where you explained it like that. You know what I mean, as far as knowing this is the difference, this is sometimes you have to kind of figure it out, cause I don't do numbers like that.
Yeah.
I'm a, teacher, so, and I teach history, so I do policy.
Yeah.
But that's good to know.
Okay, let me ask since we're here, okay?
Yep.
Because I'm getting ready to go into a training session about those reports. And for a while, Mayor Bill, help me out. I would hear from council that we didn't get reports, that we would have got them, we would have known what was going on. That's what I heard. So explain to me what was being done, what were we as a council doing with the reports online?
They didn't have them online. And
This-
like council.
I
Councilman
built all this.
But there was, hold on, but there was reports out there prior to you, they just weren't being updated, is that what was going
There
on?
there were some point in time reports,
Mm-hmm,
They were sporadic,
okay.
they were inconsistent.
So then we all need a training session on these reports online.
All this is new.
Okay,
This format, this frequency, all this is new.
okay. I thought that these were reports that y'all were receiving at some point and stopped. And so, cause I was like, okay, somebody should be able to tell me what these reports are. I was waiting for y'all, and so I hear now that these are new reports, and you, okay, so we all need training on it.
And there, you can understand, whereas before, it was, this is how much we're gonna spend, this is how much we spent. And it was never. you couldn't see the
Cause I've
actual-
been looking at them, has anybody else been looking at them?
I looked at it one time. Online, you told me that they were online.
Yeah.
Right, and so, but again, you still really, see, for him, it's easy because the numbers are. For me, I don't do the five, so I need it. like-
I don't either, I need
Yeah, I'm trying to
training.
say, this is what this is what that is. And it's not really hard to understand though, but for me, as a person that has a vote in the budget, I wanna know what's left over, and that's why the tweaking is, well, what did we not use from the previous budget that we can roll over to the new budget?
Yeah.
But you can't,
And I'm asking, because I don't know.
So you can't roll one budget to the next in state.
I'm talking about sports,
The line
the
item,
line item,
The
the money
balance.
we don't use, does it stay in that particular line item, or does it just, what do you?
It disappears
really
at the
have
end of the year. But what does have to happen at the end of the year,
and I think
you
what
got, in essence,
is a placeholder,
you got $5 to spend before the end of the day.
Okay.
12 o'clock midnight, you don't
You
have
gotta
$5.
start talking,
Yeah.
sorry, okay, cause I think, if we asked this question back in 22, that was what was told, alright, but I think also,
it went used somewhere else probably.
well,
That's what
maybe
you
it's
say after
that's
the.
fine. But I guess I'm just trying to see, because when you tell us that we're good, 3 months later, you say we broke, that's what we said, last summer. You got Barbara Holly,
I didn't say we were good. I was the one that said we were broke.
when did you come?
I came after her.
After, okay, so you haven't been quite a year yet.
Correct.
Right, so, we weren't getting those type of totals.
Yeah.
Right, so that's, to your point, yeah, but we trying to understand exactly what happens, so if the money is not spent, what happens to the money that's not spent?
So the first thing that happens is,
Roll over to the general fund, that way you have to put it,
no, so, the first thing that happens is you have to do, budget amendments to get everything,
right,
within, allowable, parameters, right? So if you have one thing that's spent over, but there's fund that wasn't spent in a different line item,
go back to,
you can go back and clean up.
Right.
Right, within a department, you can do cleanup. And that does not require council approval. If it's changing departments, that requires council approval, and if it's changing fund, that requires council approval to amend that level. So within an individual department, they have the ability to,
so they have to spend it before September 30th.
but yes, anything that isn't spent by September 30th, theoretically, what happens, because it doesn't actually evaporate, it is supposed to roll into your reserve fund.
Reserve.
That's the actual,
Okay.
how it's supposed to work.
And you might be the first director that doesn't show
Yeah.
them. Am I right, okay? But the goal is to spend it,
So the intent when you make a budget is two things.
right,
One, to provide, what's the roadmap
right,
for the year? What are we trying to accomplish? And you're doing that through numbers in the budget, right? Typically, you want to try and then have a non-numbers, a narrative
right,
version as well that, you know,
Yeah.
says that same thing. That's the first thing. What are we trying to accomplish?
right,
The second is, what constraints do we want to ensure that we follow,
right.
right? And that comes at a department level, it comes at a fund level, and it comes at an entire city level. And the goal there is to say, yes, we want to accomplish things, but it needs to be within this specific controlled setup. Because if you set a roadmap that says, we want safest streets in Texas, right, from a public safety side. And you don't put constraints on what that looks like and how that can be implemented, then what you're saying is, the police department can go hire 800 police officers and literally put a police car on every corner at all times of day, right? Nobody would ever do that because one, that's wildly inefficient, but you want to put those constraints on there because, again, without some sort of infinite money tree or something providing all that, you have a limit on what can be spent, right? That's the other part of the budget that you said is, this is our limit, this is our control, this is what we need to maintain and live within and perform these functions within.
And I don't wanna cut you off, so when public safety went over budget, they were actually getting funds from other departments, correct?
So what has been happening, and this is true from individual departments and funds, is that those departments that went over were then, in theory, borrowing money from other departments, right? Or if that is something that happened a lot, the general fund went over as a whole. That fund is then borrowing money from other funds to pay for that. This is why, the consolidated account, unless you have extraordinarily good controls and extraordinarily experienced people, is problematic because you don't see that happening, right? Because there's not a separate account for each one, so you're not seeing that money move from,
One line item.
one fund to another. It's just all in this gray limbo. But that's also why our cash situation is what was much dire than certain funds looked like they had a lot of money, but the city didn't because the general fund had just ate all that up. Right? Our general fund, as of the last audit, I believe, is a little over 3 million in the hole. And so that means it owes $3 million to other funds out there, right, that it had scooped up and used. So we are slowly fixing that by doing, trying, again, control it, keep it under control, but also ensuring balanced budget. And then as we get the cash to
For the reserve.
break them off, we are breaking off those other funds so that they can be correctly, accounted for on the cash side, and we can get to that point where everybody sees that. And then that prevents those types of situations, because if you see a weird transfer from one fund to another in a bank account, once it's all split out, you can say, you didn't ask me about this transfer, because I can't make that transfer as the finance director or the city manager without council's approval.
I think we're also, I know that you did it, in a compartmentalized way when you first arrived. But I think that, this it's gonna be a tough road to hoe. It's gonna be a tough road to hoe. And I think people of Lamarck are open. But I think that you're gonna have to go back and tie this back to when it started. And you're gonna have to walk the people through. There's some very important things that happen. Regardless of how we got there, a rollback happened. And then one of the first rollbacks ever, we made history. And then there was this whole idea on how are they gonna take the money from us? When did that happen? How are we supposed to respond, right? All of these things were uncharted and new territories, and they all contributed to this overspending. And it's all a cautionary tale for cities. We were the textbook city. If in fact you find yourself in a rollback, on the rollback end of it, now our cities should know, because of our cautionary tale, there has to be a policy and a process associated with it. If the rollback, succeeds, now a policy has to be implemented, budget cuts, layoffs, whatever those things that should have happened. We should have had a policy, and we didn't know, we were the first. We should have had a policy in place to immediately take some of these things down. And we didn't. Well, that contributed to the situation that we find ourselves in. And it's important because the rollback election happened in November, I believe. I believe it was November. And then there was a whole period of time before the actual rebate, the return of the funds. And what was happening in the municipal government? How did we adjust? Right? All of these things need to be brought to light. And I think the more of this that we bring to light, not from the perspective of judgment, but just from the perspective of logistics, right? What actually happened and how there was no blueprint to know what should have happened, and how all of this affected us and impacted us, and how we are where we are now. And not necessarily focus it on what, may have been happening politically, and all of these other things, but focus it more on what happened and what should have happened logistically in response to the rollback. I think if we can communicate that to the people from a kitchen table perspective, it'll open the door for them to be willing to understand and then respond or favorably, right? I think that is the one story that has not fully been told. And I think to get to where we believe we need to go to stay safe, EMS, police, fire, that's the story that's gonna have to eventually be told in a way that people can, I get it, right? So.
I mean, that's the way to explain it. Again, that's the issue, when you think about, your family, if you have two people working and one loses their job, right? When your revenue goes down, that's like a tax rollback, right? You can't then keep spending the same, you have to make a corresponding adjustment to what you're spending based on that new income, right? So that's one of the things that happened, that should have happened, that did, right, it's a state. The other side of that, and, you know, equally as notable is that, for a section of years, budgets were passed with a revenue amount and an expense amount. And that revenue amount didn't get there, didn't bring in the revenue amount we said we were gonna bring in. And we overspent the expense amount we said we were bringing in, right? So now you have the two greatest causes of, you know, money drain, both occurring, right? Mismatched budgets where you're doing both sides in the wrong way, and you're just pulling revenue out and not adjusting expense, right? Those two combined is, you know, it does not take long to just eat through everything. And those are the two biggest drivers of what happened to the city. And again, that should have been told about it and should have been brought up
There were definitely.
4 years ago.
Well, there were definitely a different picture, but my point is that, you just wanna make sure, because anybody give you, you know, when you give us. So, thank you for the model that you have, that shows everyone exactly what happened, but I agree with Mayor. Narrative, I mean, history will speak for us, but we were not going to, and I'm just gonna record, but, we were not going to sacrifice public safety because of politics. And we needed to help hold the city, hold the line when it came to what was happening. We were having drive-by shootings. People did not feel safe. We were not willing, this council, because I was on that council, not willing to do that. And we have cleaned it. So that may be a good story for Inside the Mark to cover, to talk about that, because as a teacher, you're right, we will be a textbook city study the impact of SB2 and the impact of politics, with that now we know that Governor Adams is now saying, well, hold up, we're gonna put a 5-year hold now on appraisals. Because people did say, hey, this is crazy, this is gone up crazy, so, but again, where we spent the money, let me say this, wasn't public safety, where we overspent. And I think people can see the difference, and that's why there's like, okay, we don't like it, but we do see the difference, because I've never had to duck and dodge till I lose the mark. And I will never forget that night when somebody was shooting down the street, and my whole family had to duck. I grew up in Pueblo, didn't have that problem, and Lake City. So for me, that night was traumatic. So I knew then, I was a council person. So I knew then I wasn't willing to sacrifice police or fire, because I've never experienced anything like that in my life. I was on the second floor of my house, and we were all ducking because of the shooting at Circle K. And so, understanding that, I think that's why we have to fight as a city to come together, even though what was meant to try to destroy the city, we built it back and be better. Come on.
And
I just want the truth. I just want to make sure that what we get, because we did have a former councilman that was over there saying, y'all should be getting this, y'all should be getting that. He did. He was always on the rooftop about, where'd you take register? What do you have? And we kept asking. But there was so much other chaos going on, what really mattered didn't get seen until, you know, this council had to make some hard decisions. So I just want to make sure that we're on the right road now. And I really understand it, because what it makes you do is not just take your word, but grill you even more. My mayor has always grilled the finance director. I'll be like, really? Why would? But now I see, because it costs you at the end of the day. What if the numbers aren't right?
so, you know, as we talked about the reserve fund, and this will be the last thing for, we head to lunch. The reserve fund is for situations like you're describing, right? We have a mass drop in revenue that was unexpected, and we can't adjust for it at that moment. Then you create a resolution that says, we are going to tap the reserve fund for this specific reason, for this specific amount, for this specific amount of time. And that will come over, and then that reserve fund allows you finding that extra revenue to bring you back to matching. Right, your tax go down, you say, we're gonna tap the reserve fund because we are in a situation where we cannot not keep this up or we're gonna, you know, lose the town, right?
We didn't do that. We didn't have-
This is the correct way to do it, and this is why the reserve fund in itself is so important and so important to keep funded. And then, so you do that for a year, you find a way that next year, because you then know what the situation is. You then also then have to rebuild the reserve that you
Right.
use, right? And so that's what the reserve is there to do, is to handle these types of situations that you get that didn't prepare for, that you weren't sure about, or that you don't have a great answer for at that time, right? And that doesn't always have to be a bad thing, like for a bad thing. Again, the example I like to use is if, the Department of Transportation came down and said they are willing to repave every road in the city, a, you know, $200 million project, but they require a 1% match from the city. Right? That's not something we have in our budget, but what we can do is create a budget amendment to tap the reserve fund. And then we get all this benefit, but we wouldn't be able to do that if that reserve fund is, right? The reserve fund is not just to cover when things go bad, it's also there if a great opportunity comes up. It's a strategic resource, but you gotta be strategic with it. You can't just drain it all, never refill it. And with that said, my lecture is over, and we're gonna let everybody get some lunch.
Okay.
Let's, well, forget 1 o'clock, let's break for lunch, and let's, reconvene at 2 o'clock. Stand adjourned.
Is court still going on? I'm
I
gonna
think-
lose my parking spot.